It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 421. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar. Kodra.
Hello.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hey there.
So, his first topic has been sitting on the list for a really long time, and I don't know exactly
Not
how
that
long.
long.
Yeah, honestly, as far as our topics go, it's brand new.
Considering we have another thread that's like media we should talk about, and like some of those topics are like 3 years old, 4 years old.
No, this is only like 3 weeks old.
Okay.
It's positively like new.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was from last year.
Ha 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 ha.
Okay, Tab, key this up.
So this is from when I was playing a bunch of Metroidvanias, returning to Hollow Knight now that I could get a controller working on it, and a bunch of other stuff. And also replaying Thief, the Dark Project.
Oh, I was gonna ask which one.
The original, the OG. And man, like we've talked about it a bunch of times on the show, and so I know that I'm like rehashing some territory here, but like there is a huge difference between a game with a stealth segment and a stealth game, and like fundamental difference. And I feel like games with stealth segments do a huge disservice to stealth games.
I feel like I'm willing to add in a third category, which is stealth games, which I would probably put in like definitely Thief. Like Thief is kind of the purest of the pure. But then there's also games where stealth is a core mechanic that you can use as your primary form of interaction with the game. But you don't have to. And I'm thinking like the Wolfensteins in this area, where the segment is not like, oh, you have to do a forced stealth segment.
But it's fleshed out enough to like actually be an entire mode of operation.
Yeah. And I don't know where you put something like that, Tam.
I mean, honestly, that's a stealth game.
I was actually gonna ask this about Legends Arceus, which has kind of similar things going on. You are the thing stalking around in the grass.
Yeah, because like I think people who if you haven't played Thief and you hear about Thief, most people I've talked to think of Siphon Filter. I hate Siphon.
Tam, are most people you talk to old enough to remember Siphon Filter?
I don't know what Siphon Filter is, so
PS1 era game.
Yeah.
So Siphon Filter and Splinter Cell are games that came out when, spy like in the
Well, they were lit off the tail of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, and they're not stealth games. They are games that punish you for being seen.
I was going to say, for me, the reference in games that make my back feel old would be the pirate base infiltration of Wind Waker.
Yeah, which again punishes you for being seen.
Yeah, like you just lose. You got seen.
There's a lot of those.
And
Stealth section in Shadow Hearts, so on and so forth.
The thing that's really important to remember about Thief, like even the original Thief, even on the hardest difficulties, the game does not punish you for being seen.
Yeah.
Unless you're going for achievements.
No, that's new.
Oh,
I was going to say, those didn't exist yet.
Those didn't exist back then, yeah.
Okay.
Like, there was the only thing that Thief did on that was like you fail on at a difficulty level on, you had normal, hard, and expert. On hard, if you killed civilians, you'd lose. And on expert, if you killed anyone, you lose. That was it.
But being seen, just, your life's maybe a bit harder now.
Yeah, but
and
that was the thing, is it gave you a bunch of tools. Like half of the tools you have in Thief are things like water arrows to make it easier for you not to be seen. And all of the other tools you have are things that you do in order to get yourself out of the trouble of having been seen, like flash bombs.
Yeah.
And so the experience of playing Thief or Dishonored or, I mean, Wolfenstein or Deathloop is not get seen and lose. It's get seen and switch your tool set to, like, your gameplay switches up. And it makes me think of, it was kind of the thing that I was thinking about with Hollow Knight, where as I'm running around Hollow Knight, there are basically two modes of play. There's movement and there's fight. And you can seamlessly transition between movement and fight. And honestly, in some cases, you can be like, this fight sucks, time to start moving. And if you're fast, and if you can move fast enough, you can be like, okay, I don't have to fight anymore because I moved enough.
There are definitely some normal enemies that are annoying enough that movement is just the right answer.
Yeah, that you can just be like, you know what? Like, even if this enemy engages me, because like a lot of times you're just moving through a space, in Hollow Knight's case, fast enough not to be noticed by enemies, or not to have enemies really meaningfully attack you or engage you, or you're like stopping to fight them because they're in your way or whatever. And it really reminds me of the same core loop of stealth games, which is move or remove obstacles. Where it's like, yeah, that might be fighting, that might be knocking the enemy out, that might be whatever. Similar to I hit it with my sword, or I blast it with a spell, or, I dash through it or whatever. But like that kind of modal, fluid back and forth really feels super, super similar to me. Especially with how much both kinds of games care about their level design. Like really the star of the show of Hollow Knight is its level design, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
And like there are some ways that like parts of the Hollow Knight map connect, and like not just connect but tell a story in how they connect, that really not only helps your traversal but also are just inspiring as far as making you think about how you're moving through the space. And like that is true of stealth games. Like the story is in your movement through this space. And like my previous absolute favorite stealth game level has been usurped. At one point I would have said that Shalebridge Cradle was, in one of the Thief games, was the absolute best stealth game level ever made. And Hollow Knight has a really, really similar level in the White Palace. Because and Hollow Knight's White Palace is a lot more difficult, and doesn't have quite the same thing. But what made Shalebridge Cradle incredible was there are no enemies in this entire level, but you don't know that. And because you don't know that, it is so tense moving through there.
Interesting.
And like, even if you know there's no enemies, there are things that are not enemies. There's like environmental hazards that keep you on your toes, so you don't just want to like fly through it.
Got it.
So there's still some difficulty, but also it's just so environmentally impactful that you find yourself just like taking a moment to take it all in, which was my experience in the White Palace, where it was like, wow, there's a lot going on here, in addition to I'm moving through this space that is challenging, but challenging from a movement, not a combat perspective. And like Shalebridge Cradle is all puzzle solving.
It's there's definitely a thing where when in a Metroidvania, like the star character is the world you are playing in, is usually a good sign of a Metroidvania.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's true of a stealth game too. Like it's why, I mean, the level that beats out Shalebridge Cradle for me now is the Clockwork Mansion, which might be the finest level ever made in a video game. It's incredible. But just moving through it is fascinating. And there's a ton of places in both, when they're done really, really well, there's a ton of places in both games that really like resonate. And it makes me think of when because I've played a couple of other, after actually beating Hollow Knight, I played through a handful of other ones, And it was really telling to me when I would jump into them and be like, oh, this isn't really doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the world isn't there.
Yep.
There are so many indie Metroidvanias that's true of.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's so many stealth games that either only handle the one gameplay loop and are just like, well, you fail if you get seen, or just don't do anything interesting with the spaces that you're wandering around in. Deus Ex counts for me as a stealth game, even though you do not have to play it even slightly about that, because it's all about its level design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it hits all of the same notes, even if you think stealth is dumb and kill everybody you see.
Man, I'm gonna get on my old person soapbox, but like one of the things that I kind of miss is being able to discover something that the game did not point me to that was the alternate path in. And like didn't even hint. Like when a game's like, I don't know, maybe there's another path, and it's like, okay, well then I need to explore to try and find the other path.
This is why I love Arcane Studios so much, because they're so good at this.
I should go back and play some more Dishonored, honestly. I probably have not given that game enough time.
Like,
Dishonored,
I hate stealth games, and I love Dishonored.
Dishonored is great. And the thing is like, Dishonored is a stealth game. I don't know what other stealth games you played, Bell.
I do not want to be stealthy in the least. I mean
Dishonored is a stealth game where
I murder everything in Dishonored.
But but that's fine. Like that.
Yeah.
That is an option for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
I hate stealth mechanics.
Didn't you like Wolfenstein as well?
Yeah, but I straight up murdered everything. Just
deal.
painfully murdered everything.
But also, the Wolfenstein, that's a stealth game. Like, you can stealth through the majority of that game.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein
Stealthy.
also, like, again, defining it by the way the levels allow you to approach things differently. Wolfenstein also had a lot, like, it was a lot less of a singular corridor that you were going through. It was still a kind of corridor-y, but like it definitely had moments where, hey, actually, like there's a bunch of different interconnecting paths that you can sort of take.
Yeah, there was plenty of times that the level was wide open and you were just trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to get to the place that I need to be.
I think we also talked about Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it might just be that you dislike bad stealth games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to do the stealth mechanic.
A good stealth game does not punish you for failing to stealth. Like
Right.
that's
Like I got a low chaos playthrough of Dishonored, and the only reason why I was able to do that is because I kept stockpiling sleep arrows and just kept putting things to sleep.
Yep, that's
it's valid.
100% legit.
Problem solving.
I mean, that's how I do it.
Put him to
That's
sleep.
how
Throw
my
him on a
clean
roof.
hands run is done.
Yeah.
Throw them to sleep, hide them behind a couch, and move on with things.
That's where the rats won't get to them.
But like the only reason why I did that is because the high chaos ending is just so miserable.
Oh, it's incredibly depressing. Yes.
Which is incidentally why I love Deathloop, because Deathloop does not care how you approached it. It just cares that you got there. By comparison, even though you can play super quote-unquote stealthy characters in Skyrim and Fallout, they're not really stealth games because they're not giving you that option.
Okay, like stealth bow, quote-unquote, you're only doing that for the crit bonus.
Right.
Like, there's no other reason to do it other than the crit bonus.
Well, that and the fact that the enemies just never figure out where you are. So, the guy next to me dropped dead.
Must have been the wind. P.S. If you go back to Skyrim and you play an illusionist, you can do similar things. It's actually quite funny.
Nice. But yeah, it's like, and I always want it to feel right, but it doesn't, because it's just fundamentally not built.
Yeah, I mean,
way.
and I guess the thing,
Skyrim doesn't force you to do any sort of planning to to successfully stealth. And that's, I think, an important element of a stealth game is stopping and thinking about your paths and what you're going to do. Like you brought this up before, Tam. Stealth games are puzzle games.
Yeah.
Like
Skyrim is not a puzzle game.
I don't mind stealth games when they present me with a choice. The one that kills me and the thing that just drives me up a wall is when an otherwise non-stealth game has a forced pass-fail stealth section. You have to get through.
And everybody who does that
passion.
It's terrible. They're all terrible.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a single game that has this that's an enjoyable part of the experience.
No, it's awful.
At best, it's a distraction because it's easy enough that you're not really, at any risk of failure, and even then, it's annoying.
The only game where I thought this was even somewhat tolerable was what's it called, Evoland 2, because that game is a million different games, so it's just a tiny section among many.
Yeah, it's kind of the point.
It's why Hitman is a stealth game. I mean, Hitman is one of the most incredible stealth games, especially because you often not very stealthy. Sometimes you're ridiculously not stealthy in a hilarious way.
But every level is a giant puzzle.
But Assassin's Creed is not a stealth game, despite everything it claims to be.
Yeah.
But because so much of it is this traversal through painstakingly handcrafted maps or maps that are really, really relevant in your movement through them, and you're constantly thinking about the tools you have to navigate parts of the map with this sort of modal switch into conflict mode and possibly out of conflict mode is what makes me think about the Metroidvania, because I was like, what makes Hollow Knight different from Dead Cells?
Yeah.
And
Dead Cells isn't really a Metroidvania.
It's not. But it is at least a good game though, unlike something like Valdez Story, Abyssal City is a Metroidvania, but it's not good. Right. But if you watch 60 seconds of Hollow Knight and 60 seconds of Dead Cells, you could be forgiven for thinking they're the same game.
Sure. So one of the things you kind of mentioned that I think is a thing I've never really gotten from a stealth game experience, though, is you talk about the flow. And when you talk about flow, that resonates for me when I'm thinking about how I play Hollow Knight, because it's I have mastered these systems to the point where I am not speedrunner level of moving through areas quickly, but I'm pretty competent at being able to be oh yeah, I can just jump over these guys. That guy's not going to get to me. This guy can be a nice pogo, and I can just nice and breezily go through this area without too much fear of it. Maybe pull off a couple of cool tricks. I that flow for me in I think I just don't have the tools for it yet. Notably, I one of the stealth games I've spent the most time with was Thief 1, The Dark Project, and that game has a lot of tensely waiting.
I have a distinct memory from being a kid of watching I loved Thief, and I had a close friend who loved Thief, and I was appalled watching him play Thief because his approach was simple. Things can't see me. If I hit a thing with my blackjack that can't see me, it goes down in one hit. If I flash bomb things, they can't see me. I only need 2 tools, one of which is infinite.
Accurate.
That sounds great.
And he moved through levels. I would sit and I would look and I would wait and I would, catch a guard. I would lure a guard with an arrow that I shot and carefully and he would just run in, flash bomb, blackjack, move. And he would finish levels that took me an hour in 3 minutes. It was the first experience that I ever had to anything remotely speedrunning. And it was just he thought about how this game works in a completely different way than I ever considered. It's the oh yeah, you can you can spike pogo into I don't know Hollow Knight movement terms, but like yeah, you can get into this place that you don't have double jump. Oh, you don't need double jump to get in here. You could just like do these 4 different tricks to get through this place without actually having the thing that the game expects you to have. And it's the exact same thing to me. Thief speedruns are madness to watch. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely kind of a like once you're used to the mechanics and like are playing with the risk, which is something that I'm like more comfortable doing in a stealth game than I am in a game with a stealth segment, because like things aren't over if you get seen. So like if you mess it up, it's like, all right, now you just have a different thing to do. It's like, whoops, I missed my jump in Hollow Knight and I fell into another area. Like, now what? Time to either climb out or find another path.
Move forward, yeah.
Yeah.
See how much stuff I can get before I bench warp.
Yep.
Yeah, like it
Can
definitely.
I salvage this or do I F5?
It definitely makes me wonder. Because, yeah, like, this is also the reason why I know I love the randomizer in Metroid, in Hollow Knight specifically, is because it frequently asks me, hey, do you think you can get to this thing with the tools you currently have? And makes me look at it and evaluate and think, how would I get there? Somebody programmed logic that says they think I could do this. So what are they seeing that I'm not? And that's always very fun. Like, getting presented with a new challenge with a familiar set of tools and them asking you to figure it out.
Yeah. Fun little detail. Dishonored's randomizer is built in.
Interesting.
Like you get random bone charms on every playthrough, mostly weighted towards your current playstyle, whatever it is you're currently doing.
I don't know what bone charms are or how much they like alter your ability to move around the map.
They're basically the equivalent of badges.
Charms and Hollow Knight.
Charms? Okay.
But it's not like your movement abilities are randomized.
No, that's true.
The only thing you can truly be guaranteed in randomizer is the ability to jump and the ability to slash downwards. I don't think there's a way for them to randomize either of those away yet.
That would be horrifying.
Did not include slashing left, right, or up.
Yeah, it's one of it was a thing that was looking at it side by side. Like I don't think I ever would have connected those two experiences. In much the same way that playing a bunch of JRPGs back to back and then playing early MMOs, it was like a light bulb went on years ago when I looked at it and was like, oh wow. One evolution of the JRPG, this like party-based ability, lots of abilities, working as a team kind of mentality is something like, where FF15 went. But the other one is like, what if you could do that with your friends? That's an MMO, which, of course goes back to D&D, which is the inspiration for Final Fantasy. So it's sort of interesting to see this like circular inspiration process.
Yeah.
But I love seeing how different things inspire one another.
I'm actually curious, and I should look into it because I've never actually dug into the background. To what degree is Final Fantasy inspired by D&D, and to what degree is it inspired by Ultima, which is inspired by D&D?
Well,
because Ultima was huge in Japan.
Also wizardry.
So was wizardry, yeah. I'm not sure to what degree. I'm
not sure about Ultima, but wizardry is likely.
Yeah.
But also it was inspired by D&D enough that they had to change some things before it came over, so they wouldn't get sued.
Yeah, they had mind flayers and the like.
So now what I'm wondering, because one of the things that I think makes Metroidvanias very interesting, and especially if you look back to Castlevania Symphony of the Night or Super Metroid, which are kind of the examples, and then Hollow Knight, it's these are these characters who are starting at the top and then descending down into this just massive place that feels extreme, larger than life. Dracula's castle is huge, and then you discover that there's a whole nother Nega castle underneath it.
But really, those games are kind of just 2D Zelda.
I mean,
there's a lot of the whole Metroidvania formula that is 2D Zelda.
Yeah,
sure.
I think as I said before, Zelda is a Metroidvania before Metroidvania.
Sure. Although I feel like Zelda might, if we're talking about the original release Zelda,
Not so much, maybe.
not so much,
Well,
maybe, because
But
there
it,
was
it
not as
required
much.
you to go find stuff out in the world. Like,
There's a
Gotta
lot of
go-
places you
gotta
can't
go find the
until you have
candle.
right tool. Yeah.
yep, gotta get the
raft.
magic lamp and
Yeah.
the raft and the arrow, and you have to go get the silver arrow or go get the master sword, and you need the red armor or the blue armor.
Yeah, you don't need the red armor and the blue armor, though. I mean, you need them because that game is not easy.
Yeah, no,
but,
like I wouldn't have been able to beat him without him.
but like it's less of a like these are gating your progression and more of these are useful items that you're going to want to pick up. But mostly what I was trying to get to is I wonder if like what a stealth game entirely like in a singular massive level would be like where you're going going to various parts of the mansion or whatnot as you're exploring, you're backtracking, and you're unlocking new abilities to traverse.
Yeah. One of the Thief games had an overworld, which like kind of touched on that. Honestly, I think it's a tech limitation.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's just maybe Metal Gear Solid 5. I have to think about that one. Like the really wide open, possibly something like I haven't played it, but something like the bigger Far Cry games, or like what's that Ghost Recon Wildlands, which has never really interested me, but I wonder if they're doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost Recon Wildlands is very much way more stealthy than a standard shoot 'em up game.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of reconning the area with drone first so that you can mark your targets.
And then thoughts on Horizon?
Yeah, I mean, Horizon is sort of similar. It's and it doesn't quite have the level design part, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, they're like subsections there are subsections of that game where stealth is really beneficial, and then other parts where it's not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also parts where it's just impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But I also just think about like the sheer density of like a Dishonored or a Deathloop map. I mean, Cyberpunk to some degree is similar. Like there's a variety of places that you can sneak into and break into, and you're still kind of all in the big city. Other than, I mean, are there hard loads between places? Sometimes there are.
Yeah, hard loads is not necessarily what I like, because I don't mind if it's hard loading. I'm more thinking of like you're still going back and forth. You're still traversing back and forth to previous zones.
Yeah, I mean, Deathloop is definitely. I think Deathloop is the game that is doing the most of that.
Okay.
In some really clever ways, and because I mentioned it when I was talking about Deathloop previously, but like one of the neatest parts about that is it's a stealth game that actually has you revisit the same locations over and over again.
Okay.
Sometimes under different circumstances, which gives you a cool opportunity to both explore them in a different way and also use the tricks you've learned in moving through them to be more efficient or faster or deal with new challenges. But it is a thing that stealth games don't do as much as I feel like they should, because you put so much effort into these incredible levels and you only really see them once.
Yeah. Dishonored does some of that, like having you return to, the same map multiple times, like at later times in the story. But so much of like the state of the game has changed that.
Yeah. And it's always because the mission sends you there, right? It's never like I can optionally choose to go check this place I've been before.
Yeah, no, it's a linear story, so yeah.
I mean, honestly, that was the sort of the big like earth-shattering thing for Deathloop for me. It was like, I'm going back to the same place, and it's going to be the same place set up in the same way.
I should check out Deathloop.
It was my game of the year for a reason. It was so good.
If only it had a save game. Just saying.
A what?
You can't save your game.
Oh, like
you can't do a mid-level save.
Oh, okay.
Like if you have to bail out for some reason, you have to replay the entire level.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's not the most unreasonable.
Yeah, it's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
Like I tried to play through one level 3 times, and I kept getting interrupted in the middle of it. And after having to restart the same level 3 times, it just bailed.
Yeah, even just a take a snapshot, and then when you restore it, that snapshot is erased, sort of.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Like, if assuming that they're trying to prevent save scumming, like that would be better than nothing. Because
I would have been fine with self-destructive saves, kind of like all the GBA games have.
Yeah, like sometimes you got to step away from the computer. There is a scream in the distance, and you must investigate.
Yep. It was one of those days, and it just I tried. Like I was real amped to play it, and then I kept having to start back at the beginning, and I'm like, I don't think I care this much. I mean, that is one place where modern consoles are beneficial because a lot of them have built-in, suspend states.
Yeah, like I've been playing Yakuza 2 because I'm finally working my way through the rest of that series, and yeah, like I save my game occasionally, but mostly I just like drop out of the game into the main menu when I'm done for the night, and it's fine. Next day I pick it up, after my kid's in bed, because that's not a game I'm going to play while my kid's awake. He doesn't need to see all that. Speaking of stealth games, that has a few stealth sections, and they were the kind that I was talking about where they're pretty difficult to fail, but also just kind of annoying.
So I think folks have played some more Forspoken since last show, or at least Kodra had some thoughts.
Yeah, so I picked up Forspoken after the show last week because it sounded very interesting to me. And that game is doing a lot of really cool stuff. I have now managed to beat like the first major boss and have unlocked the next types of magic. I am really like, maybe I just like, I know it's kind of cliche, like big open world with a bunch of points of interest, but I'm enjoying going to the various points of interest because traversal in this game is super fun.
It's so good.
You get the ability to dash very quickly, and then the first upgrade to your movement is the ability to like jump up walls. So you're able to like quickly look and be like, okay, there's a thing on top of that tall mountain. How do I get up there? Okay, let me try and find the ledge that I need to jump to. And then from there, where's the ledge I need to jump to from there? And all of these little like movements is very, very enjoyable. Like, I love the puzzle, trying to puzzle together what pieces of terrain I'm going to be jumping to and like how I'm going to be trying to get up there. The game is doing a good job of rewarding me with a bunch of different ways to power up in interesting ways. So all of my abilities have like bonus missions attached to them where it's like, hey, you've got an ability to like bind somebody in place. Do you want to make this ability better? Take this out and bind people and then do a bunch of damage to them from the back arc. And then once you do that, both this power ability is more powerful and all of your abilities that are in the purple tree are more powerful. I'm really digging that. I'm also digging like a real deconstruction of a lot of hero tropes.
Yes. I played a little bit more Forspoken. You're actually further than I am at this point. But without going on a media literacy rant, Forspoken is so much a game that I don't think could have been made outside of Japan because of how deeply it understands the tropes it's using. And like both leaning into them and deconstructing them.
See, I feel like it I feel like it knows a little. Like I'm very curious to know a little bit more about this dev team. Somebody has spent a decent amount of time in New York, who built this game. That's going to be my takeaway. But like, I kind of get that. But like, hey, the trope is your character is an orphan with unknown parentage that was left alone to be raised. Classic hero background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, except you're not being raised by just like any old like idyllic pastoral family. You're being raised in the U.S.
US
system.
foster system.
Yeah, the U.S. foster system.
Hey, guess what? You don't trust anybody. It sucks. And yeah.
You are very well acquainted with people who hold a ton of authority over you, both because they've been in your life literally like from birth because you're a foster kid, but also because like they're the people who are meting out punishments when you are on the other side of the law from them.
And the ones that haven't provided you any sort of opportunity to not have to not have to get wrapped up in the stuff that gets you in front of them again. It's like, oh, you can see the whole vicious cycle.
This game does the like we talk about hero's journey. This game sells its rejection of the call really well. Because no, you don't want to be a hero. That's pretty clear. Like it's pretty understandable why you're like in a lot of games. It feels like why is the hero like pushing back so hard on going on the adventure? It very much makes sense in this game. It doesn't feel like it's an odd part of the story.
Yeah, which I think leads to some of the, I mean, putting aside all of the other stupid reasons why I think people are down on the dialogue in the main character. I think that part of it is like you as a player are jumping into a game because you want to have an adventure, and to be faced with a hero who explicitly doesn't and has honestly pretty compelling reasons not to can be a bit jarring. Like your hero is bitter and like cynical, but comes by it honestly.
It's
way more than say a brooding ranger smoking in the corner.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of a 90s anti-hero comic book origin.
I mean, honestly, a lot of it makes me think of Thomas Covenant, but I get the impression this hero is a lot more likable than Thomas Covenant.
This hero is like fairly likable from my perspective.
Okay, then she's a lot more likable than Thomas Covenant.
Yeah,
he's not at all.
I just wanted to catch a break.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, because that's where my brain goes to when you start talking about person from our world who ends up in fantasy world and doesn't want to have anything to do with any of this at all. Like, but it yeah.
I mean, there are things that motivate this character to action, and
well, sure,
they're very, very effective emotional tools and motivating you to action in like your very cool moments in the story. I love them. Also, I feel like the voice actor for Frey is doing just an incredible job. And I'm kind of surprised. It seems so. This is apparently either a new name in voice acting, but like apparently has been in a couple of live action roles, but seems relatively new as an actor. Ella Balinska.
She's great.
She's very good.
Like just really like, yes, you have to understand the character that she's selling, but she's selling it.
I very much appreciate that one of the like points of interest in the overworld are you find familiars, and the familiars are these little like winged demon cats, and when you find them you can approach them, and then they'll start showing up in like the homes that you have out in the wilderness, and they convey no mechanical benefit, but I'm gonna find all of them because yeah, they're very cute cats. This is definitely a game.
Like of all the things you've told me about this game, That's the one I'm most interested in now.
If you like cats, you'll like this game. This game is for people who like cats.
Collect all the cats. Okay. Sold.
Yep. I want to collect cats.
You follow cats around the city to find a rare currency, and then you give them pets. Like, that's just a common mini game you have to do. Another key point, which I know people have like ragged on, but your character is a person who is going to go and find their cat before they make sure that their life savings is accounted for.
Yeah, we said last week that's normal.
Yeah, like I'm not even like especially fond of cats, but that just sounds to me like a good person.
Yes, your character is very fond of cats.
The living creature takes precedence over stuff. Like, yes, seems appropriate.
But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun, and I find playing this game, I find one of the things, once I figured out the systems a little bit better, the combat is a lot more exciting once you're like cycling through your support skills and like just sort of making a mess of the battlefield. And then I think that the second set of moves is a lot more focused, in that this game feels like it was really designed to have some melee combat, and the second set of spells is all about melee combat.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was the one thing that got me early, where I was like, this feels like there's a little bit of interaction missing.
It has levels. I'm not sure that the levels are all that important. Because all I figured out is that a level gives you about 10 to 14 mana to spend on your spells. And like, you might be thinking to yourself, ooh, getting new spells, that sounds very important. But in the time it takes me to get a level, I'm pretty sure I can find about 50 mana just literally lying on the ground. Like, it is all over the map. You're going to get way more powerful by exploring the map than by like grinding on enemies. Which is good, because this game is very fun to explore the map of.
I have really loved moving around. Like, just the joy of movement in that game is great.
And there's definitely like, your character is very fast, and there are like some moments where I'm pulling some real shenanigans of like, I am moving at my very fast speed, drop a landmine in the middle of a bunch of enemies, and before they realize what's happened, I'm already out of there and it's exploded on all of them. And then like the entire field is chaos, and then you start dropping a turret and start shooting them with your rocks, and yeah, it's very fun to do all of that. Like, once you start incorporating the fact that you can be pretty much anywhere on the battlefield, it gets pretty wild.
I feel like that one anime character in every like martial arts anime who is just like teleporting around all the time.
Yes.
If anybody ever made a Flash game, this would be a place to start thinking about it.
Yeah. And I can tell you that there are more movement abilities to unlock, so it gets even more fun to move around the map. Quickly like becoming a pretty good contender for early game of the year for me.
Yeah, it's pulled me in a lot more than I was expecting. Like, I was expecting to have a good time with it, but like the more I play it, the more I like it. And like, I feel the need to talk about that because it's getting such an undeserved bad rap.
So, weird topic from this week. Apparently no one's going to E3.
I mean, reportedly.
I mean, you know.
All the companies have announced they're not going.
Nobody's announced anything.
Nobody has announced anything, but there's apparently some pretty good sourcing that Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are not going to E3.
I mean, they've all got their own things. What do they need E3 for?
So then the question is, why does E3 even exist, and does it happen? This was a story I saw on Checkpoint this week. And their joke was, this will be finally the PC gaming show's year to win E3, unless Devolver Digital shows up.
Like, I know we've said that before, but like, I don't know that there's a place for E3 anymore.
Oh yeah, no. This doesn't seem to make any sense anymore.
Like, the pivot to Reed Pop makes me think that they at least somewhat realize this, and are going to try and turn this into basically another PAX.
I mean, PAX happened because E3 was a pure press show, and it took a lot longer. Like, it took a lot longer for the games press to pick up on the existence of the internet than probably should have, but like, it's just not that relevant. You can have if Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo wanted to have a groundbreaking, all eyes on them, media moment tomorrow, they could do it.
Well, Microsoft just had a show, and they showed off several cool things, and it was not that big of a deal, and it kind of spiced up the week.
Why share the spotlight if you don't have to?
And the funny thing is Nintendo, in theory, was the last person to kind of abandon the E3 floor, if that's really what's going to happen. But they're also the one.
But they were the first ones to abandon doing a show.
Right. They really were the pioneers of this whole, I'm just going to do a direct-to-the-customer thing.
I think it's bad for indies. Because I think there was a lot of, because Microsoft and Sony and the big names are all coming to the show, people are watching the show, which gives an opportunity for indies to draft off of kind of their...
I mean, Nintendo still features a lot of indie games in their press and their directs.
It's true. So, I mean, maybe they're still getting what they need.
Well, and because of Game Pass, Microsoft's been snapping up a bunch of indies for that platform.
And I suspect that if you were a real tiny indie, you weren't getting into E3 anyway.
Probably not.
Also probably true.
I mean, honestly, you were probably going to have a better time at PAX.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite moments from PAX were just sitting and talking to some developer that's tiny that's really excited about their game.
Yeah, I wasn't at PAX for very long last year, but yeah, that's still definitely a thing you can do. They're there. They want to talk. There's a bunch of indies.
It's just the exuberance. They're real happy to talk to you about this thing they made. But it also kind of led to this side topic that there's a whole list of things that are supposedly coming out this year. And we're quite uncertain if they will.
Is this game coming out in 2023?
I mean, because we just found out through a investor document that there won't be a Final Fantasy XIV expansion this year.
Not entirely unexpected news.
No, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, they did release the last one in December of 2021.
Yep.
And it's usually 2.5 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually have no idea how that story's been progressing. I should jump back in and get caught up.
Yeah, I've been thinking that too, because I've not really done any of the post-patch content.
There's been some pretty fun stuff.
Anyways, game I saw that was is this going to come out? Is Starfield.
I think it will.
I'm pretty bullish on this one coming out this year. Mostly because it was supposed to come out middle of last year, and so being pushed out to this year means it's probably dropping.
That makes sense. I just always wonder, because the game is so big, I have to assume if there's anything that was found that needs a lot of rework, then even a little rework might.
I'm just going to point out that it's going to be a BGS game. So, there are going to be a bunch of interactions that they just aren't going to catch. It's going to come out with bugs. They can't, it's literally impossible for any studio to find all the bugs in a potential interactions available in a BGS game.
Yeah.
That's not their fault.
Yeah, sure.
But also, it's going to be a thing.
Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
You think that?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
It currently has a hard release date of June 22, so middle of this year.
See, and I could even see they still have room to slide that if they have to, and still make a 2023 release.
Yeah, I think the FF16 does drop, but if you ask me about the other FF game,
FF7 Part 2.
Yeah, no, I think that's
2024.
I don't even see that on my list. I don't think they're pretending right now.
So there's a game from a relatively unknown studio called The Day Before that is like one of the most wishlisted games on Steam right now, and they dropped a trailer that has a November 2023 release date.
Nope.
I'm not even sure this is a real game. Like, if you look at the footage, I'm not real sure that's like an actual game.
I didn't know about this game until they dropped that trailer, and I still don't think it's real.
Like, I remember that from a couple E3s ago, and it was a way higher fidelity game at that point. But, like, I still think they're kind of showing us a golden path.
So, speaking of games that I think is going to be a little bit more dubious, maybe I'm wrong, but scheduled to release June 6th of 2023 is Diablo 4.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that'll come out.
I think it'll drop this year.
I think it'll come out when they said it will. I just don't think it'll be good.
See,
I don't know if it will or not, honestly. Like,
I don't know if, like, I guess like my one thought is, man, the dev experience being in Blizzard must be pretty dire right now.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, the experience, the gaming experience of Blizzard is pushing things out whether they should come out or not.
Yeah, I mean, my man, remember how things have changed, because I remember when that wasn't true.
Yeah, no, right?
When it's ready. But I don't know. My question on that one is, does the Microsoft deal go through?
Yeah,
I mean, that was really what I was hoping would happen between now and then.
No, it's not going to happen between now and then, that's for sure.
I mean, like, on the ARPG side, I'm honestly way more excited about Last Epoch dropping the multiplayer patch on March something.
I mean, Path of Exile announced that their, 3.22 is going to come out like 4 weeks before Diablo 4. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, I think they released their roadmap that far out for a reason.
Yes.
Other games I know we're a little excited about. Having been in early access for so long, supposedly in August, Baldur's Gate 3 will be making its full release.
I don't know.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I
will believe it and play it when I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
The other thing is, when that game comes out, you might want to play it slowly so that they have time to actually fix the bugs that are in the parts that aren't in early access. just saying.
I mean, the new Breath of the Wild game is supposed to be out this year.
I was going to say, yes, that was going to be my next one, was Zelda Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. May 12th. I imagine if this doesn't come out, there might be riots.
I'm pretty sure that one should make it.
I kind of think this one will come out.
Yeah.
I've also seen Hollow Knight and Silk Song be listed as a first half 2023 game.
Yeah, so somebody, and see, like let's unwind this. There was a Xbox presser
in June of last year. Yeah, like, I want to say June 29th of last year is the date I'm remembering, and how this happened, which featured shots, a small trailer of Silksong. And at the end of that presser was, all of these games will be playable on Xbox within the next year.
Yeah, exactly. That was how we also got the Diablo 4 prospective launch date.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know how much that decision, like, what all went into deciding to make that statement. I want to believe Silksong. I want to believe.
Again, I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Game I am really looking forward to, but also doubting will be a 2023 game. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Like, Space Marine was a freaking great game. Like, it was a fun game.
I didn't even know that had a projected date, does it?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it has as projected a date as any of these.
Oh, 2023. Okay, got it.
2023. But
they just started taking pre-orders for me, like, yesterday or the day before, something like that.
My one for this one is, does Star Citizen's second system come out this year?
What's the second system? So not like being able to travel past the solar system we're currently in.
Yeah.
Oh, now looking at this, I just realized that apparently Colossal Cave came out last month.
Yep.
I need to pick that up. I'll let you guys know how it is, since I'm sure I'm the only person who's going to pick it up. It's a new game by Roberta Williams. I can't not buy it.
I'm looking forward to Armored Core 6.
And
it's supposed to be a 2023 release.
Yeah,
I don't believe that one.
I don't believe that one
for a second.
Definitely not.
So Ash, on this list, I see Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, that'll come out this year.
Yeah, it'll absolutely come out this year.
Like that's not even remotely in contention. They've been running several beta tests for it.
Yeah, we've seen so much footage of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alan Wake 2 is supposed to be a 2023 release, and I don't think that's going to come out.
I don't know Alan Wake. I feel like I should. Seems like
the prequel to Control.
Alan Wake is only a game that I suffered through because Control hooked me on their shared universe. Like I feel like Alan Wake did a bunch of novel things, has an interesting story, but some janky gameplay, and maybe you'd be better served with watching a Let's Play.
Control 2 is coming, though. I'm here for it.
The Wikipedia article for it says System Shock is coming out in March 2023.
Again, I'll believe it when I see it.
That game.
When I see it, I'll buy it. But yeah, no, I seriously doubt it.
That's next month.
You know the game that I will believe when I see? Homeworld 3.
Yeah, I saw that on the list too.
That and is Beyond Good and Evil 2 on the list anywhere? Are they still claiming that's coming out sometime, anytime?
Somebody
ever?
made a comment a few months ago saying it was still being worked on.
I mean, I'm sure somebody's still working on it, but
a quarter of somebody's time is going into concept art.
Oh my goodness! I didn't realize this. We really should make more fun of Beyond Good and Evil 2, because apparently it has broken the record held by Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, I didn't realize that.
Forever. Has been for a while. Duke Nukem Forever ultimately came out.
Yes. Broke the record held by Duke Nukem Forever for the longest development for a AAA video game at more than 15 years.
Star Citizen's got nothing on that.
Holy moly.
Speaking of Duke Nukem Forever, like, I don't think we talked about it, but the 2D version of Duke Nukem Forever that was originally what they were going to release got leaked to the internet some time ago. And it's actually kind of fun. Like, it's playable on the web. It's more like a prettier version of Duke Nukem 2.
Yeah, okay.
I'd seen somewhere that, like, Marvel's Wolverine was a 2023, and I don't believe that one.
I don't see it. I see Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I clearly haven't been paying any attention at all to upcoming releases, because also the Like a Dragon Ishin is coming out this month, and I'm definitely going to have to pick that up, because that is 100% up my alley.
Oh man, that game.
A Yakuza spin-off set in the late Edo period? Yes, please.
Frankly, I'm amazed that Tears for the Kingdom is going to beat whatever the next version of the console is.
Right?
I mean,
that's the first time a Zelda game's managed that in like 3 console cycles.
I mean, I don't feel like they're in any real hurry to replace the Switch.
All right.
I don't know.
So we were just talking about Diablo 4 on games that are cursed and tempted and slated to come out this year. More or less cursed, The Wolf Among Us 2.
Who's even making that now?
Yeah, that was my question.
I mean, on the tin, it says Telltale Games.
Who is wearing that corporate bodysuit?
Yeah, who put their skin on?
I mean, I'm imagining the answer is THQ Nordic, is it not?
I don't know.
LGC Entertainment. Did they do anything before they became Telltale? Or as I can tell, no. They were literally founded 4 years ago.
Brutal.
Looking forward to Redfall now more. That's supposed to be a May release.
Is Redfall the arcane vampires thing? Like co-op something? I don't even know, but I want to play it.
Borderlands Vampire Hunters.
Yeah, I'm so here for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposedly like designed for single player, but also you can co-op it.
I'm going with Left 4 Blood. But yes, I am excited for that.
The one that I doubt just completely is Arc Raiders.
I don't know what that is.
I don't even know.
It is a looter shooter. I forget who is doing it.
Embark Studios, but that's a no name to me.
Yeah, I don't. I want to say, like, there's somebody in that studio from another studio that I recognized when it first came out. But it looks really cool. But I also sincerely doubt it comes out this year. Considering we've not seen anything since the Game Awards 2021, I think.
Yep. That's when we last heard anything about it.
Exactly. Like you don't go quiet like that. And
I mean, their last announcement was that it got delayed to 2023 in August of last year.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Digimon Survive came out last year and had a bunch of situations like that.
Also, there are some people that think the Dune survival MMO is going to come out this year. The one we just heard about at the Game Awards.
I have trouble believing that game is ever going to actually come out. But
on this list I'm looking at is a game by Capcom, which made me ask the question, wait, Capcom's still making games?
They're making
Sure, they make Monster Hunter.
And Resident Evil.
Well, they're also apparently making Exoprimal.
That was announced at one of the big shows, I think, last year.
That's the one that I originally thought was a new Dino Crisis game.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the not Dino Crisis, but Dino Crisis, yeah.
Mechs and lots of dinosaurs.
That might come out this year. They're not really doing anything else other than releasing a Mega Man collection of the best Mega Man series.
I saw that on the list.
Wait, which Mega Man series?
Battle Network.
Their network.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'll finally actually play those.
Don't play the first one. Look at the plot and start at 2.
I think at some point last year, Nightingale had released that they would come out in 2023, but also I doubt that. That's the Victorian era PvE survival co-op game. Victorian era and fairies.
Oh yeah, the like Malifaux but bright colors survival game.
Yeah.
Tron Identity is supposedly coming out in 2023.
I kind of believe that one more because like I've actually seen a lot of stuff floating out about that one.
Oh, it's a visual novel, so yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's gonna come out. Stalker 2, I don't think is coming out.
Having looked up a bit more about that, this might even actually be good. The Tron thing, that is.
Yeah.
It looks compelling anyway.
I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot. I mean, it's the guys that made Thomas Was Alone, so okay.
Ooh, I really enjoyed that game.
I mean, yeah, that alone might get me to give it a shot.
Jedi Survivor is almost certainly coming out.
Yeah, now that they've announced that it was pushed back, I think that definitely means it's coming out. I think it was pushed back like a month and a half, something like that. I hope that means they won't have to crunch too hard, but I know it means they're going to have horrific crunch. The one thing that I've not seen listed anywhere that I'm really hoping we get at some point this year is Horizon Forbidden West PC port.
Is that
announced?
Yeah.
No.
There is a different Horizon game that's on this list, Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Yeah, that's the expansion for Forbidden West.
Or is that the VR
no, that's
game?
that's the
that's the VR one? Okay, well, there's two things. There's a DLC for Forbidden West that's coming out this year, and also the VR thing. I don't remember when it was, but Last of Us has a PC port announced.
Yeah, I think it said March.
Something like that.
Yeah, late March. Which, I mean, yeah, that'll come out on schedule.
I sort of feel like anything slated to come out before July is probably coming out if it hasn't been announced it's delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it's got an announced date for Q1, Q2, then it's probably actually somewhere in the supply chain. But anything Q3, Q4 is just a vague guess.
New Dead Island.
Yeah.
That's a game I haven't thought about in a while.
That is supposedly finally coming out.
I think that's another one that's been in development forever and a day, yeah.
I think I'm thinking of State of Decay.
No, it's Dead Island 2 had the trailer. It's a E3 2014 trailer.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a guy running along the beach.
I remember that trailer.
Yeah, no, it's been in development hell for a very, very long time.
I mean, they say April, so maybe it's actually going to happen.
State of Decay 3 is one that I'm surprised we don't have a date for because it's been in works for a while. I mean, Atomic Heart comes out later this month, and that's one I was definitely looking forward to. The weird Russian not Fallout game. There's definitely enough, like, probably sure things on the calendar that it's going to be an interesting year for games.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on the list. I mean, there's some stuff that's already out that I haven't had a chance to play, but I'm excited to play, like Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, that was just like a shadow drop too.
Yup.
It's the most ridiculous of shadow drops because that studio and that game are not a match I would have ever guessed.
I mean, I hear that game is not that long, and I feel like it's 100% all the way up my alley, so I should probably play it. But the Rhythm comes out in 2 weeks.
You know, but the thing is, like, that's the beauty of Game Pass is the games don't have to be super long. Like, it's this looks interesting, might as well download it and play it type thing. The Gunk or whatever that I was playing last year, that's a really short game, but it was really fun. And it probably wouldn't have done as well if it weren't on Game Pass. Anyway, that's probably time and a show. Any other quick topics anybody wants to talk about?
I don't think so.
Release your freaking games with cloud saves if you're releasing them on Steam.
Yes, please.
And if you do add cloud saves later, make sure you have an elegant system for not having different things overwrite my cloud save high on life.
Yeah.
Aww.
Midnight Suns is in this camp of doesn't do cloud saves, and boy, is it annoying.
Ick.
High on Life didn't do cloud saves, so I had to restart the game. And then when I patched it and checked, I opened it on the deck first instead of my PC first, and now my save is gone.
Oh.
Boo.
I guess that's a micro topic. They're replacing the Steam Big Picture mode with the Steam Deck UI.
Yay!
Because, like, Big Picture mode has not been great for a while, but the Steam Deck UI is really good. And I remember when I first started messing around with my Steam Deck, I thought, man, I would really probably use this Big Picture mode more if it looked like this. Anyway, well, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.